Well, so this is J-Dawg from HELLCAST.
I already did that. You're busy bullshitting. You probably got all your bullshitting in the video.
Oh, they probably did. They probably did. I heard some of it.
Yeah. Reaper wanted me to do this interview here for you guys. These guys, some Regurgitation. Hell's Headbangers is going to be doing the Regurgitation Tales of Necrophilia on vinyl. I know Brian more than I know, you know. Actually, Brian's one of the people I met very early on in the metal scene in general.
Very early, actually. And you know what? This guy, he was like a kid when I met him. He'd come in the store, but, you know, out of all the Hell's Headbangers, what I liked about Justin is he always liked the sick stuff. He'd be like, oh, what's that? Oh, Last Days of Humanity, and, you know, the real sick bands. So I was like, Justin, he's cool.
So as I've said on HELLCAST before, like, I get that tag from, you know, my brothers and people that know me, like, oh, he likes all, like, the brutal death metal gore grind stuff. I'm like, it's not that's true. I was like, I like that stuff, but I like across the board. You know, I like black metal, I like thrash metal, you know, death metal, and heavy metal stuff, but I got tagged that because out of the three of us, I like that stuff the more. So, but yeah, Brian was one of the earlier ones that I met on that I've got a lot of that stuff was an influence from me. So it's going to be great. Yeah. So all you guys that are fans of Hell's Headbangers stuff, yeah, we're going to be putting out the Tales of Necrophilia, which was originally put out in '99, I believe, right?
Yeah.
99, right?
Yeah, I think 99.
Yeah, and I was a huge fan of it, and still am to this day. I mean, I still listen to that disc, you know, and
Wow.
so
That's cool. Back then, it was very different as far as
totally.
pressing a CD. There's only certain places that would do it. And if you had super sick shit, a lot of these places wouldn't do it. So you have to go around for this place, and you know, check to see if they would actually print your stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, the
know,
tampon boys
different
back then were
world.
really touchy.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like Lividity. I remember I put out Lividity.
Yep.
And it was like 9 places. Finally, the ninth place, I could finally get somebody to print it.
That was the Fetish for the Sick?
Yes, Fetish for the Sick. And, you know, Regurg was pretty difficult too, you know, because people didn't want to, you know, print that. And then finally you get a printer, you go, okay, this guy will do the disc, this guy will actually print this stuff. And, you know, things happen. Yeah, we got a bad batch of covers, had to reprint it again.
With the whole Regurg coming out, that's what I've said it before, and I think a lot of people don't know this, and that just, it was really advertised. The whole thing of Hell's Headbangers was kind of like the umbrella of just, the whole thing, the whole title was just Hell's Headbangers, like all metal, whether it be heavy metal, death metal, black metal, thrash metal, grindcore. So putting out stuff like this, that's why I like to bring, you know, like new other fan bases that aren't that
very
genre.
Cool. You know, me personally, my take on it, like, you know, what Hell's Headbangers is doing today is, dude, you guys have a great mail order. People can order a good product, you know, no matter what label it's from, you're going to get it quick. I mean, Hell's is very professional. I mean, the stuff you guys put out, you know, because I've seen it for so many years, is professional. You guys, you know, put money into your releases, you make it special, and that's the way true death metal is, you know? You don't want just some cookie cutter release or re-release. You know, like a lot of the other stuff you guys did, you know, as far as, you know, some of the Mortician and all that, you know, the picture disc and all that, you know, the full poster. I mean, man, that's cool. That's really cool.
Well, it's nice to give the fans more than what they expect.
Yeah,
you know?
You want the fans to get
They
quality.
can't get it anywhere else.
Well, as I said, not only is it the, that's what I think, is because, like, people like myself who's been a fan of it since it came out, not only is, in my opinion, we want it, but then there's, like Brian said, I think there's going to be a whole new generation that, like, of guys that haven't even heard it. You know, that they can get into it.
You're
like,
right. There might be.
Because you got, I've always said this, you got to remember to keep this in mind, guys, is like, right now, there's literally some 14, 15-year-old, as of today, getting into this.
Oh, yeah.
Every few years, there's somebody new getting, I mean, they don't fucking know.
Well, I get asked about it all the time. You know, whenever I'm playing shows all across the country, I get asked about it all the time. People ask to buy my personal copy.
Oh, really?
And I don't even have one.
Okay.
You know, and people are asking to buy my personal copy
and
offering me, you know, crazy amounts of money to buy it. And, and I don't even have it anymore. So, and I hear it every time I go out on the road. Multiple times. So, and it makes me feel good because I'm real proud of the release.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very good album. I still listen to it. And a lot of the things that, you know, I play on, I don't really like to listen to them. But that's one that it gets spun multiple times a year.
No, I agree. And that's of that style of music. Like I said, I do like more of that style of music than like my brothers. But I honestly do think that album is the better of that genre. I don't know. It just was. I mean, because a lot of it's some of my problem was listening, like my brothers would complain about. It's just some of it's just super repetitive to where it's like a lot is just becoming the same old, which I do think that was kind of it kind of had a standout sound of its own. I mean, it was still super brutal.
Yeah, it did. But it had that sort of dark feel.
Yeah,
to
I agree. Yeah.
It was a brutal album, but there was a lot of emotion in the music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could listen to it, and from track to track, it actually, it'd make the hairs on the back of your neck stick up.
Yeah.
You know, and that was what was weird, listening to it, actually being on it, and actually feeling that, as opposed to like when I was younger and listening to Black Sabbath, and I'd go through those emotions. Listening to something I was actually on and having that, I mean, it was a real good experience.
Yeah.
So I can't.
I was
wait
like
for
those
other
real
people to
pissed
enjoy
off
it.
emotions, like acid on me, like be tapping, just going sick. Oh, I love that, and still this day, I love playing that live. Which I hope that we can do some reunion shows.
I would think that'd be cool.
It'll happen. We're hoping it does.
If everybody gets along and shit, which I don't see why.
Yeah. I mean, what we try to get along. I know, there's other members that may be angry or whatever, but
that seems like it goes a lot of times.
But we're like brothers,
we shared a lot of really good times in that period with each other, things that we'll always remember. So I always think relationships can be repaired under the right circumstances. So I'm hopeful for it, and
so you definitely be up for it too, just like Brian is.
I just love to jam, and
he's up for it,
and I do it all the time, and I love playing those songs, and I love the reactions we get when we play those songs. And first and foremost, I want to give the people what they want.
Yeah.
So if people want it, I'm all for doing it.
Yeah.
And the women too, dude. If they want it, you want to give it to them.
If I did this for women, then I'd be a virgin. So
you will.
Didn't get too much tail off the band, huh?
Oh no, it's death metal.
Brian was the one who always getting all the tail. Seemed that way.
Well, not only that, but I was always the sweatiest. So women usually don't want to come near the guy that stinks, especially being on the road. I mean, a couple days without a shower, sweating every night. Yeah. It's not happening.
See, the thing is at that time too, and I don't know if it just seems like in those newer bands of that style, I'll be honest, I'm not as in touch with. It just seemed like that late 90s, early 2000s, that was the genre, lack of better terms, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, almost like the trendy thing. Like, how like things go through trends, like black metal's hot, Swedish death metal's hot. At that time, because like Corpse Gristle was around at that time, so when you say Texas, I could like DEVOURMENT was around, so I could see Texas loving that for sure.
See, the trend though was right before that is all the early death metal bands. A lot of them, like I could probably name a ton of names.
Just started wimping out.
Well, no, they went like black metal.
Okay.
Right before that, everybody went black metal, but then certain bands were like, you know what, we want to stay sick and keep it sick, and they did. And that sort of started to grow because people were like, fuck the black metal trend, bury the trend, and, black metal's gay. And, because a lot of bands, went that route, or some of the, like, European bands went an even weirder route back then, So,
sure.
But certain bands, they went the sick route. And I think a lot of people actually really did like that. And they craved more of that. They wanted that, intensity, that just sickness, that perversion to the music, so they went that route, so I wouldn't really say it's a trend. I'd say it's almost...
But would you say, it's a possibility that I'm on a loop as far as that scene then. Would you say as far as that scene, like Regurgitation, DEVOURMENT, that type of stuff, it was much more popular in the late 90s, early 2000s than it is now? Like that's the genre of death metal.
I would think it became popular.
As opposed to, how do you think it is now?
Early 2000s, then it started to get a little more popular.
How do you think it is now as far as like that?
Now,
the scene in general just isn't like it was.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it is.
It isn't like it was. Now I see a resurgence in it. I mean, I've played a lot of fests the past couple years, and that's the thing is the fests that are more like the old Ohio DEATHFEST, they seem to do really well when they're kind of genre specific to the brutal death metal.
Yeah.
The out of state ones do seem like
they're doing very well.
Okay.
And that's the thing because slam has kind of come onto the scene, and there are people that hate slam, people that love slam. Well, the thing is you've got the guys that are online and social media now that say slam is garbage, how much they hate it. But you'll see that same person at the show, and when the slam is playing, they're out there moving to it, and they're getting into it. And I think with brutal death metal, I think that was the thing is people they couldn't control it. The music would just make them move. As long as it had good catchy riffs and people liked it, I think that they couldn't help but actually get into it.
And that's one of the more things that's very important, dude, is catchy riffs. and catchy vocal patterns. See, that's one thing bands miss nowadays, especially in the brutal death metal genre.
Well, that's why I said I think I'm kind of out of the loop with it, because a lot of it, yeah, it's just
Dude, they
it's
just
just kind of
throw
background.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just
They'll have some decent music, but they'll throw the worst garbage vocal patterns over the music that don't even go with the music or catch the listener, and that's the problem. That's why you have a lot of shit bands out there nowadays. You know, you listen to it. Oh, I don't remember none of that.
it's just kind of background. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
trying to go as fast as they can.
Yeah, it's trying to be. They're trying to
They're
sacrifice
missing
good songs
the
for
main
yeah.
thing. I mean, you got to be catchy. You have to catch the listener and put a listener in a certain mood, you know. And if you don't have good vocal arrangements going with that good music, and you don't have that team element going, you miss the whole point, dude. And you are not catching the listener. And if you don't catch a listener, you know what? They're going to get your disc, listen to it. Oh, cool, bro. Throw it off to the side, and they're not going to remember anything.
No, yeah, it's not very memorable, yeah.
And there's so many bands out there, unfortunately, now that miss that whole element.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites from that brutal genre? Let's just say late '90s, early 2000s. Let's say like Disgorge, California, Mexico, Last Days of Humanity, of all that stuff. Like who is like some of your favorites then?
Well, personally, Last Days of Humanity, I loved. Obviously, Disgorge.
Like, which we say Disgorge, you refer to Mexico, California, both?
Both.
Which one did you like more? California?
You know what? They're two different styles I really can't compare.
Yeah,
that is very true.
Yeah, they're totally different.
Disgorge, Mexico.
No, I agree. They are definitely very different.
You know? But you know what? I like something that was a little different, but was just so brutal. They just pumped me up. Just like, I just want to
Scattered Remnants.
beat somebody up.
Scattered Remnants, in my opinion.
That's even a little earlier.
That's
though.
one of my
That's a
favorite
little bit
bands.
earlier.
Yeah, that was what, like 95?
Yeah, that was
95.
mid to late 90s.
And then you had, like, of course, like, you know, the Mortal Decays.
Yep,
Were awesome.
Great
Dehumanize.
band, yeah.
Oh, that's Foretold Foreseen disc is great.
You know, and you know, even early Prophecy stuff. Of course,
Oh yeah,
of course.
I remember they played Prophecy. I remember when Prophecy played the Ohio Death Fest.
Dude, Prophecy
that shit
was great.
Hey, but he was just hilarious in between.
Oh, the
Remember,
preacher.
the
We
preacher.
call him
Yeah,
the preacher.
He had like the lines for.
You guys are the shit, you know. I know that because
What does that guy do
smell
these days?
yourselves, you know.
What does he even do? Like, is he still?
You know what? The preacher, I don't know. I really don't know.
You don't know he's alive? Nothing.
I saw him a couple years ago when we.
Did you?
When we
You
played
saw
in
Phil?
Texas. Oh yeah.
Is he still into this stuff, or?
He wasn't playing with Prophecy anymore.
But is he still listening to stuff? Would you say?
Oh yeah, he's still into metal for
Okay,
sure.
okay.
But Phil also plays guitar, so he said he was playing in a band, and I couldn't actually remember, you know, if I tried real hard, what band that was.
Okay.
But he
was
also
great,
kind of playing around with doing like some stuff with Internment too.
Oh, okay.
That was his original band from way back in the day, which they're an active band still down in Texas. But
Intermittent?
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing
Cool
is
guys.
you go down
yeah.
there, and most of those people that you remember from back in the day, you still see them at the shows, whether they're in a band now that's active or
True,
not.
very true.
You know, and it's kind of like, you know, Cleveland's kind of the same way. You see a lot of the old heads.
Yeah, you totally do. Yeah. You don't know what
Yeah,
to
very
do. Well, just like
true.
another guy, like I remember, like Elijah, like Rich Lipscomb. Like, what's like? Did he kind of go off the deep end?
He's a healer now.
That's what I
Yeah,
said. He's
spiritual
something.
healer.
But so
He
he's
sort
not
of
in the metal
fucked
at all.
everybody, dude.
No.
He fucked
Yeah.
everybody. He left the scene. But you know what? United Girdle did have, you know, a lot of good releases. We had played with Flush Grind many times, stayed over Rich's house multiple times. But you know what? He just turned, dude. So he fucked everybody, backstabbed people.
Yeah.
No respect for him now. I don't, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, if I seen him, I'm gonna take it as healing crystal. I'm shoving it up his ass and then beating his ass. Yeah, I would. I totally would. Yep.
Well, that being said, guys, yeah, these are the guys Group Regurgitation. They're doing the LP, and probably go watch Demolic now. And you're gonna watch Demolic, Brian?
Definitely.
Watch
I
Demolic?
love Demolic.
Oh, yeah.